right, hello and welcome everyone to GameMason. This is the Overwatch LAN finals. This is going to be no bracket reset, grand finals between these two teams. I'm Hamster Quest. Yes. I will be casting for you alongside my co-caster Griff. And if you are new to seeing these teams play, I'd like to introduce the lineup for you. Starting for George Mason University is going to be your main tank. At the far end, Matthew. His tank duo, on-off tank, right in your face. And your DPS lineup for tonight, starting on hit scan, 2-0. Also on DPS, Avinx. And then, of course, your supports, holding down the fort, you got Amform, that is flex support. And then main support, your captain, Zap Pat. And then for Shenandoah, we have the main tank, Dragon Blade X, his tank duo, Sacred End. Their DPS lineup tonight will be Void X and King Kong Pappy. Their support lineup will be on main support, Enders, and on off support, Faina. It's going to be Theo getting back there a little late, so George Mason's going to play a little bit on the back foot here. They're going to enter the point. Now Shenandoah still playing inside the room. No cooldowns really committed other than some flame strikes thrown. Matthew's shield's getting quite low. Shenandoah might pull the trigger. They're going to take some ground off of this. You see Void X missing a few shots on a big. He might go for a flank angle. GMU needs to watch out for this, and they do lose 2-0 to that angle. Both Reinhardt's going down in the pit, having a little brawl as Amform tries to keep him up with the immortality field. It looks like it's Shenandoah's favor to win this fight, though, right in your face. He's going to stall for a little bit longer. They don't want to give that percentage over to Shenandoah just yet. He's going to get DMX on point and taken out, and the first point picks go over to Shenandoah.
Yeah, great first take for Shenandoah. You saw George Mason elected to use that teleporter and get to the point early, and though they got there early, they were sort of just waiting for Shenandoah to sort of arrive at the point. That wall went up, and as I say that, we got another wall coming up here. Matthew's going to find himself on the other side of it. He's going to get taken out early. George Mason could have to go back to their spawn once more. They don't even get a second touch just yet. Shenandoah is just pushing forward into the spawn, holding as much ground as they can so that George Mason has to fight their way to even get to the objective.
That window that came out first gave George Mason some trouble. Shenandoah trying to keep those ultimates rotating into George Mason. Oh, the high noon does connect on a thing, so now they're going to get real aggressive. George Mason not going to commit too much to this fight, but they want to try to win what they can. They throw out the window as well, but unfortunately, it's just not working out for George Mason. Shenandoah just too powerful coming into these fights and making the most out of their pick advantage.
Yeah, and that's just what I was alluding to before. Shenandoah doing a great job of just taking space that they know is important. They didn't commit to that objective before it unlocked early, so they were able to save some of their Reinhardt shield in that first fight, and that has led them to where they are now. They got a bit of an advantage here as they come in. George Mason going to try and make their way to the point. They're getting a lot more space than they had before. The wall goes out, and the Blizzard coming out as well. Going to try and freeze up some of these targets. Matthew, a single shatter and a nice charge as well onto Poppy, but the immortality field going to keep him alive for a while. Shield goes up, and George Mason get a couple of picks, making their way to point, and now it's about trying to clear off these members as fast as they can without letting Shenandoah get any more point percentage. Wow. Looks like the last Baby Diva going to be cleaned up there as it's sort of flipped here. Just a Lucio on the side. Enders doing his best to make sure that they can get to that final as much percentage as they possibly can.
Yeah, and that point does flip over to George Mason's side. What a wonderful play from the tank from George Mason there. It was right in the face with the Blizzard E that stopped that ultimate from going down, as well as a shatter block, return shatter from Matthew that was able to really win that fight for them. Now, too, getting a good high noon here on the Cassidy. They do have to watch out for King Kong Pappy, who's on the May on the side. Matthew tries to go for the charge. It looks like they will escape with their life, but George Mason's still holding on to that point percentage. Holding up a little bit close to the choke here to get a little bit of more of an environmental advantage. The May wall's coming out. Immortalities are there as well. It's going to be Enders with a big beat as well as Zap Pat. But Void X is going to get that first pick in the fight on right in your face after they get DMX. Matthew's in trouble now. Avink's also getting low. It's trouble for George Mason here now. 2-0 needs to make the most out of this by playing an off angle, which he's doing, but there's just way too many members of Shenandoah that are still alive for him to take care of, and Shenandoah is going to get that point back.
Yeah, and the problem there mounts for George Mason as there's not much time left for them to get back to the point, and there's a bit of a stagger in some of the way that those deaths happen, so it's just the two tanks right now. Zappat looking for a flank as well to try and get it to points in case they need to touch it shortly here. He's going to go down, not even sure if he got that. He did. So good job from Zappat to secure the overtime for the team. The rest of George Mason is going to have to fight here now and see what they can get. But the picks are all coming up right now in the form in Shenandoah's favor. 2-0's going to answer one back, and Inform going to find a couple of nice shots onto Dragonblade X. That's the main tank going down for Shenandoah. So a bit of a frontline loss for them, but George Mason, they're doing their best, but it seems like this push is on its last legs. A lot of members have fallen. It's just the Tracer and the Lucio on point stalling as long as they can, and as I say that, 2-0 falls down, but they bought enough time. Multiple members of George Mason are making their way back, and they've got something to say about it. Inform landing some good shots, and Matthew jumping forward and taking down that May. They're going to be trying to flip this point if they can, but it's a really staggered fight right now. Just the two main tanks and Lucios, it looks like, are fighting for the objective. But Inform, again, going to land some good shots and take down the main tank. That's the start for George Mason. Bink's going to land some rockets, both on the enemy and himself. You can say we'll take those. Objectives secured for George Mason.
We will take those, and well fought. George Mason again, right? Actually got another Blizzard feat at the beginning of that fight. He came into this match hungry and performing quite admirably. We saw him play absolutely wonderfully in the match before this against Virginia Tech, so great for him. Now Voidex opening this fight with a high noon. It's Matthew in danger to the May wall. So George Mason got to throw out that immortality first. Now they are down on the cooldown. Management in the shatter connects from Dragonblade on the back line of George Mason. They may lose this point. Only a few members up, including Wright and 2-0. They do equalize the main tank pick there, but it doesn't look like they're going to have enough members to do much more. 2-0 is going to manage to get another pick, so it's up to George Mason to stall against Zapat on that duty, doing a good job, but unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult for George Mason to turn this around. The pick potential goes lower as they pick characters like Hammond that struggles against brawl compositions, but they just need to get to the point fast. Right, New Face does have his mech now. He's on the main tank of Shenandoah, but he cannot quite finish it until he gets into Baby Diva form. It does finish it now. King Pappy with no right New Face to eat the Blizzard does get that out and pick up 2-0, of course. Now Shenandoah still numbers advantage, trying to close down the last kills. They need good target focus, and they do manage to get the members of George Mason off that point. Yeah, so George Mason and Shenandoah both going to go for the ball, Tracer comp, but you can see King Pappy over there on the Sombra. There's one of his favorite picks there. So we'll see what he can do with that. It is a threat to the ball. The Hammond, that is Matthew, has to watch out for that one. They're going to fight for this right side as the Binks and Matthew make their way around to pinch, and the boot does hit on the Zen. They may be able to get a lot of value off of this fight. In fact, they do pick up the flex support of Shenandoah. Fana goes down, Ender goes down as well. George Mason cleaning up the members of Shenandoah here. A very good flank play, and they will get that point percentage.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see George Mason came into that. They had a plan, and they executed on it, and a couple of good picks at the beginning there, finding that Zenyatta in the back line. Definitely going to lower the healing that Shenandoah has. They only have the Zenyatta and Brigitte here for heals, so a bit lower than you might expect with a dedicated main support. So definitely going to be a map in which both teams, as you can see, since they're both running mirror comp there, are going to want to dive to the back line. George Mason setting up on point here. There's a bit of flank coming in. Ping Pong Poppy going to find 2 on the back, so that's maybe what they're looking for there, but the team's a bit disjointed right now. It's all about who can take the favor in this next fight here. As the EMP comes out off screen, it lands in a couple of kills, resulting for Dragonblade X, and Beta going to find one as well onto Matthew. So it's just a Binks here trying to stall as long as possible for George Mason, trying to get the percentage on the point up as much as possible. Void X going to push up here and see what can be done to sort of stagger this kill, and Dragonblade X going to join as well, but the Baptiste lamp secures Rose safety. George Mason sort of regrouping here. We got King Kong Pappy sort of hiding in the sidelines here. No EMP just yet, but might look for a crucial pack in any individual on George Mason finds themselves alone. Ooh, detected there for just a second. Not sure if anyone noticed this is a really big stealth play going on right now, as is good with Sombra to find a nice point in the back line. The Bing's going to throw the pulse bomb. It lands onto the Diva. It's actually
onto the wall.
On the wall, so it doesn't do full damage. Right in your face. Also grabs the pulse bomb from Void X on the backside of that. Pulse Tracers dropping their pulse bomb, not too much. Dragonblade X going to find 2-0 here in the back line, but that's answered by Matthew, who also finds the DPS for Shenandoah. Gone probably going down early, but that's not an even trade in the DPS department. The Soldier is going to be pumping out a lot more damage than Sombra might. What's more important is their EMP. Lots of ultimates being popped right now. Shenandoah notably popping the Diva Bomb and the Rally. It's Bob's big, going to find 2. key targets on George Mason as well. 2-0 and Anform, the backline, could be doing the most damage and healing for George Mason. So their survivability is definitely low here, and without the point in their favor, they're just going to be looking to retreat and regroup with the rest of their members.
Yeah, they pick up the right option right there, and they never got the point percentage ticking in their favor, George Mason, that is. So they just had to finally leave the fight when they realized it was no longer winnable for them. They started off pretty well, but unfortunately couldn't close out that fight in their favor. It is very difficult to kind of like manage all these other angles with all these characters with good mobility. You know, anyone can hop on and off the point at any moment, so you really have to get a full team wipe if you really want to secure that objective. So that's GMU's struggle right now, and they don't really have any ultimates coming into this last fight. They will commit the 2-0 visor over there on the soldier 76, but it's going to be Shenandoah that has a pulse and another EMP ready, and Amform doesn't have trance for this, so they have to be very careful about how they push this fight. They do manage to pick that Sombra, so now GMU, new life breathed into them. They are cleaning up the members of Shenandoah here on this side angle. Amform does get picked, unfortunately, but GMU should have the resources in order to close the fight. They get enough of that, so they just clean up the last members. Actually, the point flipped over sooner than I thought it would, so
yeah, it was a bit interesting there. George Mason pops that visor early, as you mentioned, and Shenandoah just concede the point. They have, like you mentioned, the pulse bomb and the EMP. I think they were waiting for George Mason to take the objective and sort of hit them all there, but never happened. George Mason found some good picks. Dragon Blade X looking for one right now. Onto Zabat in the back line, doing a bit up and down. Oh, no abilities, not going to be able to save himself there with the grappling hook. And that's a pick that George Mason was looking for. They're coming up on 90% here, so this fight might be the one that determines this map. King Kong probably falling low, but he's going to find the health pack right in your face. Is hanging out and looking around. Bomb's going to go in from Sacred End, but not going to land onto anybody, so just going to remech for now. Vinx looking for a pick onto the ball. Mines are going to be dropped, but doesn't pick up anybody yet, and we've headed into overtime. Well, I'm saying that Sacred End going to find Matthew, so no main tank here, but 2-0's into the back line, finds Fena. King Kong Poppy also going to go down from a Vinx. Enders is going to equalize that back. Overtime ticking down very quickly, as you saw there from the long period.
One of those characters notice they have a lot of mobility. They want to go really fast into George Mason, so we'll see if George Mason can sustain this dive coming in. Looks like so far they almost get the May. Vinx almost went down there. The hack does land on right in your face. It looks like Shenandoah isn't able to really break through this bunker right now. George Mason wants to play a long fight, and it looks like they're starting to get the value now. Dragon Blade X does go down. Matthew gets that pick, and now George Mason's ready to pull trigger, move forward. They move on to the point. They have a few members, or a lot of members of Shenandoah to pick up in order to fully win this fight, but it looks like they have the resources in the tank in order to do it right now. They're being careful and methodic about how they push forward. As you can see, they're focusing out that Sombra, moving forward. A pull on the Lucio, very good from Matthew there, and George Mason is going to get that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Important that you noted the difference in composition, because the bunker, as long as they survive that initial dive and burst from Shenandoah, they are going to be good to go. And Amform is a big part of that with the Baptiste lamp. Going to be able to give them invulnerability for a short duration as long as that stays active. And did a great job in that fight. As you can see, the ultimate already built up for Amform. King Kong Poppy doing a little backline reconnaissance, but got scouted out. So that's going to be going back as Shenandoah is going to commit off of that information, finding themselves onto the objective. But George Mason, for the moment, survived the initial dive, except for Amform and a big double kill. Dragon Blade X going to knock them both off into the edge of the map, so they're going to die instantly. And that's just going to be signals for George Mason to let the fight go. Save your ultimates. We're going to have to take this next one here.
Yeah, well played from Shenandoah there. They answered every play that George Mason could have thrown at them. The Dragons were speeding. They had a great dive, picked out a Vinx on May early. So just everything went right for them in that fight. And now as I say that, Vinx is turning this around, getting the kill on Void X to start off the fight, but Shenandoah, of course, does still have resources. The EMP, a very strong ultimate right there, is going to give Shenandoah a big advantage. Matthew and Wright are still up, and they are able to get some advantage here. They're going to move forward onto the point. There are some kills being traded. Wright does want to commit the bomb. Unfortunately, the point is still in Shenandoah's favor right now, so this stall needs to be ended quickly if George Mason wants to get that point percentage and get value off of this fight. Right now, they have the rally going up, and Vienna is throwing out that coalescence. The bomb does not quite land, but George Mason is starting to get 2 picks here. And then the very end of that coalescence does pick up 2. George Mason may not win this fight, but they do get the Diva. Now with the Bongo, actually, they have a lot of pressure on this point. And now they look to be cleaning up the rest of the members of Shenandoah. It looks like they will win this fight. They just have a few members left. The Sombra needs to be thrown out here. Tracer also has to be dealt with from Main. Dragon Blade X is probably coming back to the fight, but doesn't get there quite in time, so George Mason is finally going to get that point.
Yeah, you can see what a great job King Kong Poppy is doing. Just such a nuisance, hitting these big multi-target EMPs, as well as just initially capping the objective while George Mason was off of it, so that Shenandoah was just getting slow percentage that entire time and stalling at the end. Just a great objective play there, making sure that the team is getting as much as they can. George Mason going to set up here. They got the bunker in the back with the Orisa staying behind her shield as right in your face plays the high ground here just to deny some of this early entry. Dragon Blade X going to jump in on the high ground, early pressure on the 2-0, who's also hacked. Big EMP. Dragon Blade X going to pop the ultimate. Bena going to catch the trade onto Inform. Dragon Blade X going to hit some more Monkey Madness here, just keeping everyone into the corner from George Mason and buying time for his team to hit some good shots. King Kong Poppy going to take out the Orisa from inside of George Mason. Just a Diva D-Mech here, not going to be able to stall for much longer with the rest of the team off. But as I say that, Binks still has some time on the objective. He's going to be doing a great job, and something we always look for in Overwatch is if you can get to about 95 or 96%, because that's like one fight territory for the next turn of the objective. So Binks just making sure his team has a bit more percentage than necessary. Dragon Blade X having a little funny moment there. Yeah, right there. That's true.
So now they have that ready for the next fight. George Mason does have the rally available. They don't have to worry about the EMP this time, but you're right, this is last fight territory. Shenandoah pulling the trigger fast. What they need to do in order to win this, they get the bat really low, but it doesn't look like they pick them off. George Mason's still alive in this fight. The longer the fight, the better it is for them. They just lose the rally just now, and they throw out the window as well. They get Dragon Blade X, so this fight should be in George Mason's favor. They need to work on these targets and get their target focus down. They do get enders, so it is working out for them so far. The pulse doesn't kill any member of George Mason. Now the fade out for Moira. George Mason is finally getting the value of the long fight, getting spam into multiple targets. They are going down. Shenandoah, this is do or die for them, but they have only the EMP to work with, and only Void X and Enders are up. George Mason trying to clean up these last two targets. Will they do it? It looks like they will. George Mason get that point in just a few seconds. They will get that map too. George Mason up 1-0 in the series.
Incredible. Just pure determination, and George Mason playing to the strengths of their composition. It looks a bit iffy early when Shenandoah jumps in there.
It's so scary.
Yes, it is scary. You see everyone fighting, everyone brawling, and there's only one or two members really that maybe go down in the fight. So you're sort of concerned, especially when the percentage is going. There's the big boops that we saw happen off screen. Dragon Blade X doing a great job getting multiple members and playing for the rest of the team, even getting a little one at the end there. Great use of the Winston ultimate.
So now George Mason coming out with the Orisa does see the brawl, and they have the Maywell to help them get back into the spawn doors, so they don't lose any members here, so the ult economy stays even. You don't lose that health pool to the enemy team. Unfortunately for George Mason, Zapad does go down to the hands of Void X right there. GMU still trying to play the spam. Unfortunately, Tua is a little bit too close to the point there. Does get picked off as well. It's going to be Shenandoah building up their ultimates. Not available just yet, but Matthew is trying to take down this Reinhardt. Unfortunately, he cannot. He goes down. Binks left to fend for himself against 2-3 members of Shenandoah. Right also needs to get out as well. They're doing their best to try to get out of the spawn, but it is not working. They may actually go for some swaps here over to the Reinhardt.
Yeah, and just interesting to see on the back of that Void X, as we mentioned with the hit scan, just hitting great shots on Zapad. Sometimes, as Lucio, you're diving in and out, doing some wall riding, you know, getting a little bit crazy with it. And those are difficult shots to hit if you are a Cassidy, so props to him. Sort of leading this into his team's favor. Matthew, great charge onto Enders, but it's going to be easily traded back by Shenandoah. As the trades go even here, it's going to be up to George Mason to try and push this out. And they're going to find multiple members, and finally, you get to see that payload there start to move.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to see the interaction of the map. The payload does move. We'll see right now.
We introduced it. Yeah, we introduced it as a hybrid map on accident, but it turned out to be one. There's just a hidden objective there at the start for a little bit.
You got to take out the brawl.
Yeah.
Funny, fair enough. Duo now playing these angles. That's going to be very important for George Mason.
Big
fight. You can see George Mason playing very far, spread apart, and they're going to actually combo two ults together. It's going to be right in the face, throwing that Flux and the Blizzard, but it wasn't enough to it was Shenandoah that threw out the beat, and so George Mason has to respond by throwing out the dragons as well if they want to keep this card pushing in their favor. But Voidex gets a massive high noon, taking out 2 members of George Mason. So all of a sudden, this point may not be secured. It is up to Sacred to stall it a little bit longer, but they're pretty far away. Dragon Blade X will be next after that. 2-0 does see this, and it looks like the Diva's going to get DMAX. This actually could be very bad news for Shenandoah if they don't kill this point, but they do end up doing that, so Diva does not get staggered. King Kong's happy, trying to push forward, but if Binks answers that, getting the May-to-May combat win in his favor. Zapat getting aggressive. It's Orisa, Matthew trying to follow that up, but Voidex popping off again, getting 2 picks. George Mason losing a lot of members here. Their Orisa getting quite low. Window committed on the side of Shenandoah. George Mason trying to back it up and kite it out. We'll see if they're able to survive this fight, but the fire strike through the window does pick up Amform. George Mason sent packing.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that as George Mason gets closer to capturing this objective, they're further away from their spawn and Shenandoah is closer to theirs. So the staggering from Shenandoah eventually results in them being able to retake the territory and send George Mason back to their own spawn. We got about 50 seconds remaining on the clock here. So George Mason, they're going to want to try and get it here. If they have to take any longer, it's going to be bad news. Big shatter coming out onto the back line of George Mason. The beat's going to come out from Zapat, but it's not enough to save Amform's life. Unfortunately, he gets the window off in time, and right in your face, going to land a multi-man Graviton Flux right onto the back line. Voidex, though, isn't done yet, finding more kills for his team, clawing it back in for Shenandoah, and it's going to be a stagger from George Mason. Matthew's just coming out of the spawn now. The rest of the team's behind him. They only have 20 seconds to get here. Man, Voidex, what a monster.
Yeah, I was about to say, George Mason seemed to almost get this point so many times, but they forget about the Voidex factor that's been carrying Shenandoah in a few of these fights, and if they don't take him out, then he's gonna prove an issue. George Mason's gonna throw out the arrow first. They have the Blizzard as well, but they're gonna stack on top of it. Shenandoah does not have any ultimates to respond, so George Mason does have a significant advantage in this fight, but Shenandoah, no strangers to good stalling, are gonna hold this point for a little bit longer. They do get Amform down, but it looks like George Mason is going to wipe off the members of Shenandoah from this point and get that first objective.
Yeah, those ultimates for George Mason there, but the Blizzard and the Dragon, crucial. They get a initial pick off of that, and it was onto the tank. So Voidex was a bit low that fight, took some initial damage, so maybe the issue there from Shenandoah was that they just weren't able to answer back. But they're going to be able to do here now on the second point. Still a good hold overall from them, making George Mason have to get down to the overtime, as George Mason's going to take a more aggressive stance here. Say, hey, remember that time when you held us in our spawn? We're going to try and sort of push you guys back too here. The window's going to be popped early here from Fena. Going to try and send George Mason back to the cart, or will they? They're sort of taking the objective here. Yeah.
Side swap. Yeah, Matthew getting in here now, getting the counter charge is Dragon Blade X, but the Blizzard is a little bit too much for George Mason. They're playing on the other side of the point, and they have not gotten any picks yet, but another 2-0 Dragon Blade, not Dragon Blade, sorry, Dragon Arrow from the off angle does pick up 1 member, and it is Void X. Let's see if George Mason can actually win this fight with Void X down. They do have a few members alive and well to push forward, but they lose right in your face. He does have the shatter, but he's probably not going to commit it here, and now George Mason back to the drawing board.
Yeah, that's Shenandoah with a bit of a heads-up play there, saying, you guys are pushing us around, but we can still play the objective from where we are, just high-killing it on over that cart and saying, hey, you might win this fight, but we're going to negate as much as you can push as possible. So great job from them. They're going to be taking a bit of a stealthy approach here. Looks like George Mason's caught onto it, and especially when the shield comes up there from Dragon Blade X. They know where they are. It's just about how the shatter is going to land here for both teams here. Both Reinhardts have their shatter up. It's just who can land a better one. Dragon Blade X going to drop first and does land the shatter onto a Binks. That's going to be great for them. A big bomb from right in your face is going to land on 3 members. That's sure to swing the fight in George Mason's favor. 2-0 is going to be playing the Cassidy here, taking a good shot onto the May. But as we've seen time and time before, Voidex does not give up until they are dead. And going to find one and answer, but George Mason ultimately going to be the victors of that fight. But Shenandoah, they're back here pretty quick. That initial few kills came out, and as they get closer to the end point here for this push, they're closer to Shenandoah's spawn, so surely they're going to have another touch here on the objective.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only 10 seconds remaining. They're trying to push down a Binks on the high ground. Is forced to ice block here. 2-0 now on the point, has a good angle, not being contested. He's trying to get the damage out, but it's kind of getting environmental by Shenandoah here. Yeah, they're hiding behind all the walls and stuff. It looks like Matthew does finish up the kill on Dragonblade with a Flame Strike and is able to just swing on the point, being the only main tank alive right now. But it is the Void X Factor again. He has the angle that is uncontested. GMU will not be able to answer this unless Zapcat pulls something crazy. Unfortunately, not today. Shenandoah is going to hold this objective halfway through second point.
Yeah, and right there at the end, we see credit to Void X really popping off that mat, doing a great job. But King Kong Poppy there showing a little bit of synergy in the ultimates. The Blizzard comes out, and they have to get out of that. If they're frozen on the point, surely they're going to die. The high noon from Cassidy as well, just to make sure that if anyone decides to stay in that Blizzard, they're dead for sure. Balls come out early just to buy space. Shenandoah doing a bit of a better job getting out of the spawn than George Mason was initially. Matthew, both Lamp's going to come down here from the Baptiste just to hold on here. They're both going to be taken down early, but no picks yet to fall. Thanos going to get the first one onto Matthew, and that's a big target. Void X is now clear sight lines, no shield for George Mason to hide behind. They're going to try and fall into these environmental areas, but Binks and 2-0 are also going to fall here, right? Soon to be Demect and George Mason. They tried the strategy, props to them, but the full hold not going to happen here.
Yeah, Shenandoah, great start so far. They're going to have the Earth Shatter ready for next fight, as well as potentially a window. So we'll see how they're going to approach this next fight. George Mason also close to that window as well. Generally, when you're down on the economy, you have to play slower, but George Mason may be able to play fast here. Oh, Matthew narrowly avoiding death, doesn't get caught on the other side on the wall, rather above it. Dragonblade does get rid of that immortality field from George Mason, so I think they have that ult advantage. They're going to throw out that window as well. GMU have to watch out here. They're a little bit split. It is a hectic fight. It is up to Shenandoah to quickly take down the targets of GMU in order to win this fight, though. Right now, split target focus. Void X is going to pick up right in your face, though. GMU sent on a journey around the map, but is the card that is still progressing for Shenandoah. They might just cap it. It's only 3 years away. Someone does eventually hop onto it. It looks like it was Matthew. He won't be alive for much longer. Zaphat's turn on the cart. It looks like George Mason not able to really hold on to this point for much longer. Zaphat finally goes down right in your face. Does get the touch as well as a Binks, but this is all formality just to really take time off of Shenandoah's clock because GMU is not going to hold on to that point.
Yeah, and interesting to note there, not many ultimates being used. Shenandoah is sort of putting a lot of theirs in the bank. Only Cassidy and the Baptiste don't have ultimate right now. So they're going to be looking forward here. Like we saw on the Switch sides, it might be the next Shatter here that's going to be a big one. Matthew not up to his yet, and going low early, having a lot of these fights. Matthew's taking forward position. The team may not be ready, going to be taking a lot of damage early as they're pushing forward. The Shatter's up for both teams. It goes down, but it doesn't land. Shatter's kept up. The shield is kept up, and Dragonblade X can answer with the Shatter whatever he likes now, but he might not need to. Great bomb from Sacred End, and Void X finding a pick as well. Right in your face is going to answer back with his own bomb, but right now things are sort of stalling out, but the health bars are getting a bit low for Shenandoah here. Though they might have initially had the advantage, Matthew going to have a big charge here on King Kong Poppy. That's one more pick on the side of George Mason, but Void X, big high noon. Everything is neck and neck right now. Oh, big stick from 2-0 takes down Void X, and that is important. We've seen how much work he's been doing, even if 2-0 wants to trade his life for it. He's doing so on the card, stalling the point as much as possible, and we've had a bit of a swap on the sideline. Binks coming off the May into the Doomfist finds a pick, but is instantly traded back.
Yeah, Shenandoah finally going to win that fight there. It was a very explosive fight. When you see that these brawl compositions have a lot of ultimates, you can rest assured that a lot of them may be used. With the cooldowns that are available, generally you survive the first 1 or 2 ults, especially if you have got a few of your own. So now not a lot of ults to work with. Both teams have the window available. GMU trying to flip, getting a little of the map movement going on here. Both windows thrown out. GMU has a better angle on their window right now, so we'll see if they get more value off of it. Unfortunately, Matthew does go down off of a better wall. GMU does not have that option there. Over on the Doomfist, the Binks trying to find a way to get into this fight. Unfortunately, it's hard to do so at times. And now Shenandoah cleaning up the members of George Mason with a bomb pick on 2-0. They're going to commit the beat as well. They want to win this map here and now. Zaphat going down. It is a Binks and Matthew left. They have the spawn advantage, but Shenandoah just pumping out too much damage. It is only 2-0 that maybe can touch here. Does get pooped off, and Shenandoah tying up the series 1-1.
Yeah, a bit of a statement there from Shenandoah. The last map looked close, and they came out swinging on Havana here. They had a game plan, they stuck to it, and just overall great Overwatch played right there. We're going to see play of the game.
Well
Who else would it be from VoidX? What a standout performance on that map. Had a lot of time, as we said. You get these angles as the hit scan player, and you can just sort of have free reign to do as you well please.
And it looks like GMU is pulling out the composition that I wanted to see so bad. It's a hybrid of Brawl plus the double shield. What this comp is able to do is Brawl almost basically as well as the Rhine Diva, but your ultimates are a lot stronger. You know, Shatter can get blocked, Bomb is a little less impactful, but Graviton Flux, as we've seen Right play against Virginia Tech, is able to make a lot of value off of that ultimate. Of course, Bongo is a big damage boost as well. They're looking to play a slow fight, as you may have guessed. GMU have less resources to worry about. More damage output is their biggest concern, and as they get the first pick in the fight, they're able to move forward. This Maze at a very scary spot. It makes a great wall placement. No escape for King Kong Pappy, sorry. And Enders is going to go down as well. GMU pushing forward. They're definitely going to get this point.
Yeah, it is interesting to see with some of these compositions. You see the kill feed lighting up in the top right corner, but it's all just either abilities or DMEX or things like that. You're thinking maybe some action's happening, and it is, but nobody's going down yet. These fights, they take a while, and everybody is playing so packed together and safe. Nobody wants to be the first person to die in any of these fights, because that could spell doom for the rest of your team's push. So George Mason taking a bit of a comfortable push there, just getting a couple of picks, and Shenandoah respecting it, giving up this initial point. They're going to be happy to play the cart push here, as we have another choke point coming up here. Tuo's going to look for a bit of get a bit cheeky up in this window, see if he can find a critical headshot on someone that's not being guarded by the shield. George Mason's going to push through the initial arches and back into this corner. Maybe some shots showing up for Tuo, but it's going to be the Dragon instead as he drops down, fires it. They're going to have to respect this. Enders is separated from the rest of his team, and that spells time for George Mason. Matthew going to push forward and get two. The Arissa's doing a bit of fragging here, and a Binks as well says, hey, you know, I'm playing DPS. I want to get a couple kills. Going to answer on to Fena and Sacred End. And then it's just the staggered and Lucio there at the end. Ender's going to be trying to stall a little bit more, but not going to find it for much longer.
Yeah, GMU playing this composition absolutely wonderfully. You can see the power of all those ultimates GMU threw into this fight. The Dragon to open it up. Cooldowns were running low for Shenandoah, and they closed that fight with the Flux and the Bongo. So now they do have to watch out for the ultimates that are available to Shenandoah. They want to play fast, remember, because George Mason is going to win those longer fights. But GMU, now with the point control, is able to play a few angles. They can do what's called webbing, as Shenandoah pushes into the core of George Mason. GMU can kind of spread out along the sides and get angles on Shenandoah. They don't really need to here with the Blizzard available. So this does work out for GMU so far, but the Dragon Blade X Shatter is big. They have to watch out for this bomb as well. Suddenly, GMU losing 4 members. Shenandoah finding a way in this fight to win it. Just right to pick up, and now they are holding the point right in front of the
amplification matrix.
Dragon Blade X going down at the end there, saluting off to his teammates, saying, I did what I could, and you did a great job, because that Shatter single-handedly, I think, almost earned the fight. George Mason got a couple picks at the beginning there and was looking to sort of just continue the brawl, move on through, you know, clean up members that are exposed. Dragon Blade X coming in around the corner, hits a big Shatter, and just buys time for the team to sort of reset and get picks and keep George Mason from just straight on pushing through. So 2-0 going to come up with a Dragon here. Another flank position. Had some value off this last time. Didn't result in any outright kills, but bought a lot of space in zone. George Mason going to attack on multiple fronts here. The rally's going to come out from Zapad as they move in, but it's the Blizzard and the window coming out from the side of Shenandoah that's going to buy a little bit of time. But as I say that, George Mason's going to continue on pushing through. It's the beat from Enders just to try and keep these last few members alive. But George Mason, they are taking space. Only Anform is going down to VoidX. They are just cleanly pushing through, getting the picks they need. VoidX sort of playing in the back here, just going to pop out and make sure you don't stagger that long as George Mason capture that objective and move on here towards the final point.
Yeah, I'm loving how GMU is playing these angles. You saw right in the face, and 2-0 take that right side flank. And again, 2-0 getting value off of his angles, gets 2 picks to open this fight. They still have to wait for Amform to walk back to the point. I think he should be there by now. Right in your face, playing a good angle as well. GMU is just looking very well practiced on this composition. Shenandoah need to figure this out. They're whiteboarding it right now, figuring out how they come back and win this fight with no ultimates available right now. Matthew gonna throw out that bongo. They have the window available as well. Shenandoah need to find a way to live long enough to get their ultimates, but also try to take some space. They often try to flip the map, but King Kong Pappy goes down. GMU cleaning up all the members of Shenandoah in response to that as well. Void X, nothing you can do here with an immortality off. Team kill for George Mason. Yeah. Shenandoah might get a touch, but it's gonna be very, very scary.
Yeah, Dragon Blade X is basically going to have to charge out of here, but the Dragon's going to go from 2-0 to keep them in the spawn a bit longer. They might buy enough time, but the charge is good. Dragon Blade X actually finds a kill onto Zapad. That could be disastrous for George Mason, but we'll have to see. King Kong Poppy coming out on the Doomfist finds 2 as well. This isn't going to be as easy as it may have looked for George Mason, and they might want to take the reset out right now as more members are falling. Sacred End and Enders, and King Kong Pappy going to find, I think, a 4th on that fight. There's a quick pivot to the Doomfist there, and it paid dividends. They were able to get out and send George Mason back to their own spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. Like George Mason almost had that, but the charge that came out, they lost both of their supports so early in that fight that they were not able to play the long fight that they wanted to use so far. They have to worry about this window. They are going to wall it. No problem for George Mason to back up and cool down. Trade for an ultimate there is definitely good for them, but Zaphat may be caught out again. It may be a bait right in your face. Is trying to stop this push from killing his backline. They do have to worry about the bomb. They're going to shield that off. Unfortunately, Dragon Blade X does get that shatter on George Mason. Now they are down members in this fight. They're probably going to have to go back here. They're trying to get a little bit more spam damage. They don't have to don't have to stop entirely, but they have to regroup a little bit before going to the next fight.
The key thing for George Mason there is that they only lost a few members and they burned multiple ultimates from Shenandoah. So no shatter and no bomb here. George Mason don't have their own ultimates. They're coming up close on them now. The rally is going to come up, and George Mason might look to just pop ultimates as they come. Rally in the window being both popped. No deaths yet. All kill feed is just the D-Mech. Zappak going to find a shield charge on the Baby Diva. She's going to go down 2-0, finding a key pick onto King Kong Poppy. There's not going to be any backline threat from here from Shenandoah as they send the Dragon in, and that finds Dragon Blade X. So it's just a couple more members going to scout out the Hanzo here. He's got to take out his opposing player, and that's happening while they are pushing the objective. Great job from George Mason, finding an initial pick there, and then cleaning out the extremities and staying on the point at the same exact time. George Mason and Shenandoah, both running the same composition as they were on the previous sides. Taking a bit of a different route here, though, for Shenandoah. They're not going to come to the initial statue. They're going to go up on the high ground and play this choke around. Maybe looking to bait out some cooldowns from George Mason as they try to scout. Maybe playing for their own cooldowns as well, as we sort of hit a lull here, as they might be discussing what sort of angles they can take onto this objective. Or maybe just playing the silent game. They're going to jump over.
Yeah, the Arista can be a bait on the point. Shenandoah not falling for it. So Matthew's trying to get a little bit of value here. The Maywall's trying to slow up this rotation. You have to really watch out the way Shenandoah is flipping this map. If they do it fast enough, then GMU could be caught in a very disadvantaged fight. Right now, they're still holding this high ground, waiting for some cooldowns to get ready to go for their next rotation. But right now, GMU is playing this pretty well, staying away from Shenandoah. The Maywalls have been stunting the rotations pretty well. Again, now, mid-rotation, Shenandoah might be dropping onto the point. The pool is available. 2-0 does have the angle, but a Binks goes down first. And now, Matthew, without gold, is going to go down as well. Shenandoah found the way to break in their defense to pull the trigger and take out George Mason on this point.
Yeah, definitely a great job there. Sometimes when your opponent gets a good time or pushes all the way, you can feel a little bit anxious regarding what you need to accomplish on your own offense. But Shenandoah is doing a great job there, just sort of feeling out George Mason's initial hold, finding the angle that they can go from, and taking that once they do find it. So not feeling as much pressure as you might think. Still have this is still a very winnable map for them as they do cap that initial objective and are looking to push the payload here a bit further through the street segment of the map.
Yeah, now George Mason has that opportunity to play some more angles, but it is honestly a bit harder to do on the defense. You have to watch out for how offense can go really fast and flip you like we've seen on the first point right now. So GMU is going to take that opportunity to just push really fast into Shenandoah's core. Unfortunately, they may lose 2-0 in the process, but if they hold on to the point, then it's not. Shenandoah is going to commit that window as well. GMU in a pretty bad spot. They also near that window, but they aren't committing any other ultimates. Dragon Blade X with the shatter from the bookstore. can't read about that play there.
Nah,
That's all from him.
Yeah, it's going to clean things up pretty quickly. If there ever was an angle for George Mason to get back into that fight, that's going to shut the door on that one in the shop. So, a couple ultimates committed there from Shenandoah. Maybe George Mason, after losing to there early, decides, hey, we're going to stall this as long as we can. We're going to hold our ultimates for the next. And they got a couple of key ones coming up here. Most of them, aside from the support line, Zappat might be closing in on that soon, are going to have ultimates here. So George Mason definitely going to look to stall point here. Dragon coming out from the side as the bongos go down as well. Multiple ultimates popped. Matthew going to use that bongo power to find Fena in the back line. And right in your face going to answer on the Voidex as well. There's just more trades coming in from George Mason as they find multiple other targets here. And multiple ultimates committed. All 4 of the ones that they had available, other than the rally, which came up somewhere towards the mid side of that fight. So George Mason, they use what tools they have, do the ultimates that are available, but they successfully repel the offense. So you're not going to be too upset about that. It's good. But Shenandoah, they're going to be back here pretty quick. They had some clean deaths there, if that's ever a thing. They all died together, so the regroup is going to be pretty quick, and they're finding their way again. Voidex, do a little hop step, jump across. Sorry, from there. Oh, they're gonna come back in quick, and the Maywall, the Binks is on top of it. I thought for a second that they were gonna try and wrap all the way around, but Binks is obviously more into it than I am, reading what their plays may be here. And that is a bit of a trick play that's successfully read and sent packing from George Mason.
Yeah, GMU so far able to hold off on these defense. Very interesting play, and the fight before this where they actually used the Blizzard and the Immortality field to kind of like turn that fight that Shenandoah had into what felt like more of like a dive more than a brawl, because they only had so much time to get the damage out, and then suddenly they're frozen, so GMU able to sustain it. Wow, Duo getting a massive pick on Enders there before they're able to push in. That's going to eat a lot of time off of Shenandoah's clock there. Of course, Enders had the beat available. Now they have to wait for him to come back. They also have the window. It looks like Shenandoah is going to have a bit of an ult advantage coming into this fight. They want to play fast, of course. They've said that a million times. It is the nature of their composition. GMU is going to have to find a way to slow them down. It looks like they're coming up on finally a few more ults for themselves. Dragons maybe thrown here into the pool, but it is eaten by Sacred End. Now, GMU have to fend off this beat. Binks does get the Blizzard in time, but will it be enough? They're trying to clear off these members. They are getting most of them, but it could be Shenandoah's chance to bounce back here now that they have cooldowns coming back up. But the Binks gets that freeze on King Kong Pappy. Now, GMU pushing forward. They are going to hold that point.
Yeah, and George Mason, whether they knew it or not, the early picks that they get that fight come onto both Dragon Blade X and Void X, the 2 members that had their ultimate available. So taking out some key components that could have swung that fight in Shenandoah's favor. The beat does go down. We noted that when Enders got picked the previous fight. But George Mason, they're not looking too hot on ultimates here. It's going to be maybe on right to land a multi-member ultimate here. There's posture for it. It is interesting positioning. The Dragon's going to come out to push them off as Matthew has been called out. Here's the Gravitic Flux. It's going to land 2. Surely they're going to go down there. Oh, the lamp keeps them alive right at the tail end of that, but they're only alive for a moment longer. All of Shenandoah, save for the Lucio now, which is just a formality as he heads on through the subway tunnel. Right in your face, going to find him at the end of that. There's 10 seconds remaining, and George Mason is posturing further up in this streaks phase. Oh, and an important kick onto the Void X.
They don't have the pool available for that one, so he will get a contest on the cart.
Yeah.
But GMU still has all these angles on everyone else walking to the point, and they do clean off that Hammond. GMU moving 2-1 up in the series.
Yeah, and that was a bit close for me. Maybe I overestimated how much health the Hammond have in the stalling capacity there. Sure, he gets on the point and stalls for a bit second longer, but if the rest of your team can't make it, yeah, this is something to note. Brigitte play of the game doesn't happen too often. Let's see how much work Zappat did here. Just swinging onto multiple members, healing the team, keeping the armor up. And this is some interactive, a little bit of flick of the flail right there onto Enders.
Flick of the flail.
Yeah, perhaps Dragon Blade X is going to be the first one over. He's going to jump on up, but he's alone right now, getting pulled around and taking a lot of damage. But as long as he doesn't go down, that's just going to be some ultimate charge for Fena and Enders here in the backline. Mercy going very low here, but does survive. Go taking a couple pot shots. George Mason just sitting up on his high ground. Here comes Dragon Blade X. Gonna jump on in, but manages to get away with need help. Lost, but safe, yeah. Good returning.
What Shenandoah is trying to do here is build up the nano. Nanoing your Winston is a very effective way to take a lot of space and potentially threaten kill. GMU, as you can see, has rotated back to what's called the box. That high ground is staying up there in the top right. Tracer moving in as well. Now that the turret is not up or has an angle on Tracer, so they're in the back line now. Dragon Blade X trying to pressure this high ground that they want to take control of. If they can get Void X up there, that could prove devastating for George Mason. As you see Zappat rotating up to the high ground, King Counter Cap. He's trying to respect that, does have the turret that is able to see them.
So
Zappat, yeah, so aware. Kudos to him. Shenandoah does have that nano available. Let's see if they pull the trigger sometime soon. All this healing that is going into Dragon Blade X is no longer charging an ultimate, and in fact, it's going to put George Mason a little bit ahead in the ultimate advantage. Amform going to throw out the first ultimate in the fight. Nano does come out on that Winston. Ender's also trying to bolster that healing and damage by falking right here, but Zappat is the only one to go down. Right now, George Mason going to commit the bongo as well. The Orisa ultimate. Dragon Blade, no stranger to getting kills on that Primal does get Amform right in your face, trying to equalize the backline after losing Amform, but is not able to get any picks until he does. And it does go down, but it's still Shenandoah's fight to win. GMU coming back with their spawn advantage, but right, not able to remix. GMU may opt to not contest this point. We'll see. They actually do have a lot of time. They probably will.
Fortunately, they did sort of halt the card for the duration of that fight that was happening in the dark room there. Matthew going to be going in first here with the Hammond. Going to drop down. Gets the shield going too. Looking for a pick onto the Mercy on Enders. Almost gets low with a visor from Void X, especially with that damage boost in tow. Is going to be big deeps onto George Mason's DPS line. Matthew, right in your face, finding some key picks there onto both the main support and the DPS, so they're not done yet contesting this. Zappat can find a nice little flail smack onto King Kong Poppy. Tracer's going to go down here, so no DPS, excuse me, no damage on the side of Shenandoah, but that's just characters that are specific to doing damage. Still have a couple tanks here. They're going to reset though. Those are key members of your team. 4v6 is ill-advised.
GMU able to hold on to that point right now, and they're coming up on the support ultimate. It's Shenandoah that wants to pull the trigger first, though. The nano very devastating to the backline. Yuck is actually able to kill that through the window damage. You have to watch out for that. Unfortunately for Dragon Blade X, he does go down. So this is going to hold Shenandoah's push. They only have 40 seconds left on the clock. They're coming up to that primal raise. George Mason has to watch out for in this next fight. They're kind of out of ultimates, except for potentially Torbjorn may get his. They might get some mines, which is both zoning ultimates, but with two tanks that can kind of fly over this, they can kind of contest the cart and still get pressure on the back line regardless. So we'll see how this plays out for them. Shenandoah committing a lot of ultimates in this fight. Both tank ultimates out, but Matthew does get Void X with his mines. GMU still holding on to this point. They're controlling the space. Now Matthew trying to get on the back line, does pick up Void X after getting Reds 2-0, taking out the main tank. GMU trying to close out this fight here, and now they have Right's bomb as well for insurance. Yuck, no way, gets the hammer kill. No. Avert your eyes, GMU. Getting a little spicy in the kill feed. Yeah, we saw off the initial hold, Yuck kind of went for that hammer kill, and I just sort of like nodded my head a little bit. I said, oh, you're getting a little bit cheeky there. Prepare and answer this, as Virginia Tech could not, as it took 3 points on Junkertown. Of course, this is a bit of a different map. It's a bit harder to run, so Shenandoah has an advantage in that sense. They see it now. They have the angle. Yuck, taking a lot of damage. Actually has to get off the cart right now. So Shenandoah able to get the damage in, trying to take out Amform. He's the target, but they're able to stay up, and Dragon Blade gets low. Tanks both low for Shenandoah. GMU is threatening that proximity to capturing the objective. They really have to watch out now. Yeah, Shenandoah, that's a good sleep from Vena. Important to land that onto the Bastion, because without that, they can't contest the point. Looks like they're going to try to now, but Yuck, he's free firing the D. The defense matrix isn't going to last forever. The Diva's going to get D-mech. That's both tanks down. Matthew also going to find Void X, and it's like looking like a clean sweep for George Mason. Just Ana in the server room, and a Tracer that's looking to stall, but can they get on in time? Ana goes down. It's just King Kong Poppy to keep this the stall for George Mason. And Dragon Blade X is back, but everybody's falling.
That's going to be it.
GMU with a Bastion takes the win on GameMason 3-1 series. What a series it was. They earned that. Congratulations. Right. He's going to get that play of the game as well. Shenandoah, unfortunately, very well played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially on the brawl, but it's not able to find the crack in George Mason's interesting compositions that they brought out tonight. Thank you so much for watching on stream, coming out, whatever it was. We appreciate you very much.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very much. All right, so signing off here, I am Hamster Quest,
And
joined by Griff.
that's me.
That is you.
Always a pleasure to have you all.